So another foundering car, and today we will discuss for the driver's enthusiast the Mazda MX-5 versus the Suzuki Swift Sport. In this case, the Swift Sport Hybrid that I drive, also known under the code name ZC33S, and Mazda is known under the code name ND. And in this situation, we will discuss all the engines of the Mazda MX-5 and only one engine of the Swift Sport. But we will, if you want, also consider the non-hybrid ZC33S, so the 1.4 turbo booster yet in that case. So if you look at the driver enthusiast and you want a reliable car, very often times you will be looking at a Japanese car, because normally those Asian cars, especially Japanese cars, really rude. I'm saying now Asian cars because also the Korean brands are making excellent cars and offering very good warranty. The Mazda has a lot of benefits. In my opinion, it has better looks and it has a very nice sounding engine because it is naturally aspirated, whereas Suzuki is now turbocharged. So those are the biggest benefits of the Mazda. Another thing, of course, is that the Mazda offers a roof that can fold down because it's a soft top, and they even offer a hard top that you can put on and off again. So for example, you can put it on when it's autumn or winter and still have a solid roof above your head, and come summer you can put it off. So you have the benefit of to feel the wind in your hair and to feel the sun on your head, which really is an additional feature in a car. The drawbacks are, of course, because of the Roadster styling, you only have one seating row, so 2 seats, and you have limited storing space, so you can take less luggage with you. If you look at the Swift Sport, you get an engine that's turbocharged. This has a drawback a little bit in terms of sound, but because the turbo is very small, it's very responsive. Also, I really like the sound of this car, and it has an aftermarket exhaust to boost it up. This is the hybrid version, so this is offered with a gasoline particle filter, which normally would filter out a lot of the sound as well, because it filters out all the gasoline particles. And that, combined with the turbo and the catalyzation in the exhaust, would reduce exhaust sound. But this aftermarket exhaust reduce weight, HKS, high power spec L, and the spec L stands for lightweight. Reduces the weight but also increases the sound again, and also gives you some additional horsepower, which is great. So if you want to do something with your exhaust sound, then of course you can make an MX-5 sound very, very nice, but it could also be that, because we all have this legislation, that the sound becomes too hard, so you cannot pass regulation with it, especially for Germany, the TÜV that they have there. But also it could be that you will find the sound too hard. So for example, if you have a conference in your car or you do something for your work, it will be very hard if you have an extremely loud exhaust. And this, you still get the benefits of additional sound, reduced weight and performance without being invariable in sound. Both the MX-5 and Suzuki Swift offer quite a supple suspension. Because they are light, you don't need overly stiff suspension. The benefit, of course, of the Swift is that you get 2 seating rows, so you can seat up to 5 people, which is great. You also have a lot more luggage room. You can fold down the rear seats to increase it even more. And also, in my opinion, I really like a hard top, because of Of course you cannot open the roof, but you have something that's very reliable. It will not get mold into it or fungus, among us growing through it. And that's a good thing in my opinion. Also very often those roofs in MX-5s of the earlier generations needed refurbishing because they will be leaking or just getting destroyed because of the folding. It gives creases and wrinkles, and those wrinkles and the influence of the weather, also the sun, the rain and the use will just perish. This is solid. So that's an additional benefit. Next to that, also when you have a solid roof, you can increase the stiffness of the chassis, which will improve handling as well. Then as a track day car, if you want to do track days, you could say, okay, my MX-5 is less practical, but I want something to do track days in. MX-5 is a very nice car, but also this one is. So this Swift Sport will give you some additional benefits at the stiffness that I mentioned. Also the turbocharging will make your car easier to be tuned. With just an ECU tune you get a lot of additional horsepower and torque. Also keep in mind that whereas this car is seating up to 5 people, it's at least as light as MX-5, and you need an MX-5 with the top motorization, so the 2.0 186 horsepower, to be a performance rival. As they performed a test at the TT circuit in Essen in the Netherlands, we found out that the non-hybrid booster jet was faster than the 2.0 186 horsepower Mazda MX-5, which is the fastest version. And that Mazda MX-5 will, of course, cost also the most. And even the standard MX-5 with the lowest engine, 1.5, will cost approximately 20% more than a Swift Sport Hybrid will set you back. And also Swift Sport Hybrid has a lot more functionality, options, luxury already included, so you get a full kitted vehicle. But if you will be performing track days, and we were discussing this topic just a while back, you can take 4 additional tires with you in this Swift Sport. If you fold down the back seats, you can easily do this. So you can have your own specific road tires on it when you drive towards it. And for example, you could have tires that are not legal on the road, but are legal on track and will give you additional grip on the track. So that's an additional benefit that you could consider. Another thing is that if you want to reduce some weight, it's very easy to do so in this Swift Sport, because for track use you could remove the back seat and make it more of a station wagon 2-seater, which you cannot do with the Mazda MX-5 because it only has 2 seats. So there are some things to consider, even if you're looking at it for track use. As an all-round driving experience, both are just fabulous. The thing is, with a front engine rear wheel drive engine solutions such as the MX-5, you get a very natural feel because the back tires are pushing you, whereas the front tires are steering. Whereas in the Swift Sport, the front tires do it all. They have the traction, so they are pulling you with the engine directly driving the front wheels, but they are also doing the steering, and as well as in the MX-5 also doing the majority of braking, because the biggest brakes are normally found at the front. So some things to consider. The benefit, however, of the Swift Sport is that because it is very, very light, it's also nicely damped and very good suspension, that you have something that gives you also all those benefits. Of course it will feel a little bit different than a rear-wheel drive, but you have less parasitic loss because there's less travel from the front engine to the back wheels as in the MX-5. With the Suzuki Swift Sport, it will directly drive the front tires, and that is located directly under the engine. So next to parasitic loss decrease, you also have additional traction in dire conditions. So for example, when it's very wet, when it's snowing or ice or mud or something, that you still keep your traction on the front tires. The benefit of a rear-wheel drive car is that when during hard acceleration, normally the front is lifted a little bit. You go, this is the front, and you have acceleration, you go a little bit like this. When you have a rear-wheel drive car like the Mazda MX-5, there's more traction on the back tires, and those are the tires that are, putting down the power. Whereas with the Swift Sport, you will reduce some of that, because you get a little bit of tilt, so less pressure on the front tires. Of course, there's still a lot of weight on the front tires because the engine is there, and you can also mitigate this a little bit. If you, for example, in this car, I've lowered suspension. That is, so there's less play to begin with, and also because it's stiffer, it will not give that much. So you don't get that much like this on the acceleration, but only like that. So that's a benefit as well. Hope you like this video. Oh, one more point. If you would be looking at an MX-5, I think you will be fine even with the base engine. So the 1.5 liter engine is not as raucous as, for example, the 2.0 is, but it gives you a good revvy engine, and with an open top, you don't need idiotic speed. So that will be my tip. Whereas with the Swift Sport, you can go with whatever one you like. The 1.4 turbo booster yet non-hybrid has the benefit that it's lighter and less complex. So for track days, this could be the best way to go. For daily, I think the hybrid system is also very good. So you will save a little bit on your brakes because you get regeneration through the electric engine and filling up your batteries. You will get a little bit less fuel consumption, and you will have a little bit more torque at low RPM. Also, when you tune both the normal booster jet or the booster jet hybrid, I think they get to similar performance. Have a great day.